Hello, everyone. We have today a very interesting personality, someone who I've looked up to for a long time. Very privileged to have Nisha Millet. She's an Olympian, 2000 Sydney Olympics, has had a phenomenal run in the Indian swimming scene, 14 gold medals in the national games, Arjuna Awardee. I was just looking at her career, and it looks like she might have actually missed out on almost 5 to 10 years of swimming ahead. She quit probably at the age of 22 or 23.
Yeah.
So she could have gone on and on, but luckily for a lot of us, we have uh, Nisha in a different avatar, which we will talk about it as we go ahead. Nisha, thank you very much for coming over to this live.
Thanks so much for having me, and great to be here interacting with you.
Great. So as we go along, Nisha, we will also take questions from the audience. We are live on Facebook with on the Fast&Up page as well as Fast&Up Fit Squad page. So to start off, Nisha, I mean, it's COVID time, and I know that you have run your own business for the last so many years. You actually train, teach a lot of youngsters through your swimming pool sessions. I know it has been a difficult period for you. I just want to hit the nail on the head and start talking about that straight away. So how has life been for you?
It's been very tough, especially I think for the sport of swimming, because a summer camp is our peak time. We look forward to it because the mindset is still there that swimming is the summer activity. In Bangalore, yes, we are in many heated pools. We do classes through the year, but say 70% of our business is actually in summer. And it's great because then, the kids who are very talented will stay on, they'll start joining our competitive team. Even adults sometimes get really hooked on swimming. They learn swimming, then they join lap swimming, or they decide to do a triathlon. There's so many different things, but a lot of the good stuff starts in summer. So, this is the first time in almost close to 30 years that I have not been in a pool. So, I felt first of all terrible that I myself couldn't get into the pool for so long. The next thing was, we have a bunch of coaches and teachers. We do everything from toddlers who are 1 year old, and our oldest swimmers, or who has learned with us, 84. So you can imagine the variety of people, the ages, that we look forward to in summer. So when this lockdown happened, everybody didn't know how long it's for. So we kept saying, okay, we'll miss the first summer camp in March, we'll do it in April, then we'll do it in May. Now it's come as a huge shock, where in the last, unlock phase, where in Bangalore, all other sports are functional. Sadly, they put swimming in the same league as gyms, so swimming pools and gyms are the only things in Bangalore right now. I think maybe boxing also are the only three things that are not allowed to function in Karnataka, So very sad because, we have people messaging us because they see other sports are happening. They can see tennis matches. I mean, people playing on tennis courts, golf is happening. People are running on the roads in Bangalore. But when they call us and say, can we join classes? We have to say, no, the government is still not giving us permission. So it's been a very tough time. We are trying to see the perks of it, the good side. We're saying, okay, we'll get fitter ourselves. We'll educate ourselves better. So all my coaches, we're doing lesson plans and watching videos. And at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do. At the same time, we know that, pools are much safer because it has chlorinated water. So frankly, if you're in a swimming pool, that disinfection is already happening. But of course, there you still have to get to the changing room, other things, so there are different SOPs being put into place. So when it does open, I think people are so sick of sitting at home like I am, they'll be excited to go out there and get in the pool. And, you can recreate other sports maybe in your house. You can take a tennis racket and hit the ball on a wall. But in swimming, what do you do? Like, we had this fun exercise where we got some of our swimmers and coaches who are missing just small things about swimming, chlorine smell, wearing a swimsuit. We all put our swimsuits and cap and goggles in our house. And we actually took some pictures. We put on our flippers, our paddles. Some of us stood under the shower with our swimming cap, just to make it fun. I think everyone is going through a tough time. It's not just our, our sport, our business. Everybody had a tough time through this lockdown. There are people who are much less fortunate than us, the migrants. We've seen all those people who are struggling. So at the end of the day, we have a home, we have family. I get to spend some time with my kids, So I'm looking at it from a positive point of view. But yes, if we had some idea when we'll open, we'll be a little more, calm, I think.
So are you trying to also say from examples of swimming pools being opened in other countries of the world.
Yes.
Swimming per se should not be a problem as long as you are in the swimming pool, but it's only the peripheral which needs to be taken care of.
So actually, there's not been a single, case of COVID being transmitted in the pool, in the water, anywhere in the world. And they've also done, studies earlier when there was SARS and different other kind of coronaviruses, not COVID-19. And they show that chlorine at the proper levels, which we always maintain our pools, and we're even more careful now, it shows that it actually kills the virus, So that way the pool is the safest place to be. Of course, you can't have crowding. So people like us who have private academies, it's easier. We don't run public pools where, 100, 200 people get in. It's always a certain number of people per lane. So all over the world right now, pools are opening up. I know in the US, in Italy, which was one of the worst hits, all over Europe, pools are opening up. They're being more strict. They're saying in a lane, say you have 8 lanes, a max of 16 swimmers,
Sure.
And the swimmers will start on the opposite side of the pool so that they cross in the middle of the pool, So simple things. And then they're saying, you know what, come in your swimsuit and, dry yourself, put your clothes on, go home and have a shower. So, it cuts down the risk of, people mingling in big groups. So it is possible, just like, all other, like, who would have thought, in malls or in banks or in restaurants, you'll be wearing a mask. You'll be standing in queues and lines. There'll be social distancing. This is all unheard of, before 2020. So swimming, same ways, there are SOPs put into place, sanitization protocols. And we will do it because, we don't want to risk, number one, ourselves, our staff, and anybody who comes to our academy. But we have to wait for the government's, go ahead. So we are, doing everything on our part, trying to educate people that, it is a safe sport. In fact, swimming builds up your lungs. So what better thing, in a thing when people are worried about COVID and affecting your lungs, to have strong lungs like any sport, but swimming even more so. My sister was an asthmatic and that's why she got into swimming. And after she started swimming, she literally hardly had any asthma attacks, So swimming does strengthen your lungs. So we're educating the masses on that and saying, why should you come to a pool after the lockdown is, lifted fully?
No, I think I agree fully with you because I know for sure that a lot of people who have been suffering from asthma have really got onto the swimming pool. Some have actually gone on to win medals at the national level and also become a more fitter person, right? I think your sister Rashma would have been a good example of that.
Yes, she used to have to be nebulized, taken to hospital. And then the doctor, when I started swimming, she was not so keen on swimming, but she did it more from a medical point of view. And then, of course, at one point, she became India's fastest swimmer. At one point, she was beating me as well. And, she went to the world championships. But like you said, it just builds up your lungs. And, as a passionate marathoner yourself and, having run, everything for the Boston Marathon, how that regular training can keep you fit, mentally and physically. So, I'm trying to tell people, like even people who have not been so physically fit, take this, lockdown period as a time to really work on your fitness, That's the best thing you can do in these 3 months.
So Nisha, talking about fitness and being active, now this is a period where a lot of people, aspiring swimmers with different age categories, there are a lot of kids who would have been looking forward to making a splash in the pool. There are a lot of seniors like maybe Sri Hari and Veer Dhaval and a host of others, Arjun Prakash, looking forward to the Olympics, which was supposed to happen. Now there is going to be a big gap, and like you rightly mentioned, all other sports you can still practice it in some way, right? Yes. So how are you telling your own athletes to be active and not lose out on swimming, and how are they taking it?
I think the swimmers are the ones who are most badly hit. For me, I can distract myself with other work, cooking, my kids. But for swimmers, I know how I was when I was younger. I was so passionate. I would never take more than, say, a week off after a very big meet. Like I think after the Olympics, I took a week off and I was back in the pool. So the point is, for them, they understand how precious every single day is, And now that the rest of the world is back, for the few months, they said, okay, the whole world is shut down. I'm not missing out on too much. So all the swimmers were training very hard at home. So what we did with our team as well is we, tied up with one of the top gyms that I also go to called Nama Fit. And, we made all of them do a program with them. So every couple of days they get a workout, they do Zoom videos. The coach is constantly, assessing them because, as good as I am in swimming, I'm not as good on land, so you need the experts to do that. So we got those experts there for them. They were continuing their training, getting stronger. But it's also about mentally missing the water. And, there's something called the feel of the water. When you get in, catching the water when you swim, it's like, even if you run after a long time, it feels very different. So 4 months is a long time. All I can say is, I've been speaking to Sri Hari and Vidava, a lot of them, we just message. The whole community, I think, has come together. That's one good thing, and just telling them to keep up their spirits. The youngsters like Sri Hari, very smart. They were like, how can I build up my brand presence? What can I, so really smart things, these young kids nowadays. I think we were not this smart, thinking about what else can I do since I'm sitting at home. So I told him, listen, learn how to cook a little bit. So when you go on to camps or some competition, you can make some healthy food, so they're working with nutritionists, sports psychologists. They're still working on everything else but the actual swimming in the pool. And you can do some, simulated exercises that simulate swimming on land, but it's not the same, So we really hope that for these kids' sake, luckily the Olympics is now 2021. But for the rest of them, it's just about, keeping fit mentally and physically. And, as soon as, they hit the pool, I think you'll see some amazing timings because everyone's going to train like crazy, We used to always complain like, oh, I'm so tired. Now you'll be excited, to be exhausted, to feel, when you do a lactate tolerance set or a, VO2 max set, you'll be thrilled, you'll be excited to be back in the pool. So just my note to all the other sports people out there as well, everybody has gone through a tough time. Even the world champions, I used to send videos of the world champions saying that I'm struggling, to get through this time. So everyone's having a tough time. You have to have a positive attitude, keep talking to yourself in your own mind, just positive self-thought, affirmations. And that's pretty much the only thing you can do. When you get back in the water, just kill it.
Great. So I think talking about smashing timings, world records. So incidentally, yesterday, I think there was a race in Sweden or Norway where a 300 meters world record in hurdles was smashed.
Exactly.
So I think maybe this is a time when a lot of athletes are going to recharge their batteries and come back and put on great timings. But one last question on the thought that you said, should parents be a little worried because some of their kids are losing out on their prime years? People who are, mentally they will have the kid maybe 16 years, 17 years. You went to Olympics in 18, at the age of 18, I believe. So should they be worried or should they just take it easy and say, this year is gone, maybe we will make it up the next year?
Like I said, there's nothing that we can do. This is all out of our hands. And at the end of the day, the whole world suffered through this, but doesn't mean that you just slack off, you put on 10 kgs of weight, you use this time to catch up on studies because you know how tough it is to manage studies and your sport. So catch up on studies, mental strength, something Indians don't work enough on. And when I went to train in Australia, and that's what also helped me qualify for the Olympics, is I realized that we do so much of physical training because now I told you we have sports, strength and conditioning coaches, you have nutritionists working with you. So now is the time to get in touch either with seniors in your own team. So many kids have reached out to me, of all ages, right? From, 7, 8-year-olds all the way up to, the 25, 30-year-olds who are, international swimmers, and just had chats with me and I picked them up and said, even I've had a break. I took some time off because of my back surgery. Again, I couldn't do anything about it. I have to come back very slowly. So how do you deal with it? Work on the other things like, physical strength on land is, is very important now. You see like a Michael Phelps, they were doing everything from CrossFit to rock climbing to gymnastics, so you can do those kind of things and make yourself a more all-rounded athlete. But yeah, I think the parents need to be also very, need to chat with their kids a lot, see how they're feeling, they could actually be quite depressed. And you may not know it, might be in their room for a long time. Have a talk with them, maybe get them to, chat with their friends, do Zoom calls, it's the best thing to keep that excitement. Like, what is sports all about? It's all about that teamwork, trying to race somebody, getting beaten, coming back. So that's what we're missing. You can do some workout on your own. Even that's what I really miss in this lockdown period. I've done like a million workouts, but I miss that competition of fighting with someone. Sometimes I tell my kids, come on, let's see who can do a longer handstand. And they beat me. They're 6, so they're like much fitter than I am.
A very interesting thought. We'll talk about competition and racing a little ahead. Nisha, so you, went to 2000 Olympics, 2004. You couldn't get back. You had an injury, and you retired quite, I mean, I would say at a young age. How did life pan out after that? I mean, I know, your last 5 years you have been into a lot of fitness, running, etc. But I think a lot of us would like to know, you are at some level the best swimmer India has ever produced, the women swimmer, and then at the height of glory, you quit. And I think one of the discussions that we had sometime back, you said that a lot of you athletes have been so much at the top that you just want you want some period where you don't do anything. I mean, you have been through it for so much time, so you want a break, right? So what happened? How was the journey after 2004?
So what happened was, I made my first Olympics in 2000. I narrowly missed the 2004 Olympics. In between those two Olympics, I had a very bad back surgery, so that made me lose out on a precious 2 years. But more than anything, the only reason I quit was, the passion was still there. I still wanted to win for my country. I still wanted to do better. But it was really taking too much of a financial toll on my parents, So they literally sold our house in Chennai, moved us to Bangalore, and put all that money from our house into my training. And that's what got me to the Olympics, But what happened is post 2004, it was very difficult. That's when I decided, okay, realistically, I don't have a chance of, getting a medal in the 2008 Olympics. I still had a long way to go, to even make a semi-finals. That's how competitive swimming is. So I said, let me look at it and see how I can help my family. So that's when I decided to start teaching. It was an automatic decision. Like, let me start my own academy. But like you said, I had such a regimented, strict life. One thing I love to do is sleep late in the morning. I never got to sleep late. 4:30 a.m. you were up, 5 a.m. you're in the pool. So the first, I think say a year and a half, I just relaxed. I would eat corner house ice creams. I would, eat pizza. I was eating out a lot. I was sleeping late, getting up late. And of course, I was still doing my classes that was all in the middle of the day, So while I was building up my own business, I kind of forgot to take care of myself. So I'd say a couple of years, though I was quite active, I was in the pool teaching. Now, in the pool teaching is very different from, if you're actually going to be doing 18 kilometers. Sometimes I'd swim so close to 16 to 18 kilometers in one day. So, just standing in the pool and coaching does not quite compare, but you still feel tired. And then as an athlete, you think about, okay, I have a tough day tomorrow, let me carb load, so I'll be eating lots of pasta and potatoes. So some of the bad habits, good habits from my swimming, unfortunately became bad habits later, sleeping late, relaxing too much. And I put on a lot of weight. So post having my kids, I had gone up close to about 30 kgs more than my normal weight, when I was competing. And more than anything, more than the weight, I just felt so lethargic, lacking of any energy. My whole attitude, my demeanor changed. And of course, when you have kids, and I had twins, so it was quite tough, very little sleep and stuff, but just overeating, eating the wrong stuff. At some point, I realized, I'd met Milind Soman. He was doing a race in Bangalore, and he said, come and, race. And he also said, what happened to you, Nisha? Because he's also an ex-swimming champion. And he's like, how did you let go of yourself so much? And sometimes it takes somebody being a little bit harsh with you. I mean, he said it very sweetly, but, you want to try and impress Milind Soman. All the ladies like to impress him, And I was like, yeah, he's like, you're a national champion, international swimmer, and you should get back your fitness just for yourself, not for anybody else. Like, you've proved your whatever you had to in the pool, but do this for yourself. And that kind of pushed me. I started doing a bit of jogging, and that's when I discovered CrossFit. So I joined my gym that was known, to teach very well. Because one thing as an athlete, you want to learn the proper technique. So I went to a gym called Namak CrossFit, and they taught me the proper way of, weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and just functional movements, strength and conditioning. That really helped because I started losing weight. And like I said, I missed that competition, so that's what I was missing. So I love to compete, whether it's the person next to me or the toughest person in the gym. I would keep pushing myself, So I would do 5 days or 6 days sometimes of CrossFit in a week. And as I started getting fitter, I wanted to deadlift more, So I had all these goals, just as how I had the goals in the pool. I started doing this outside the pool as well, So over the last few years, I've, now of course found the love of running. So this is where we definitely share a bond. I know you're, such a great running ambassador for the community in India. And, it's one is, of course, I started off so heavy. You can imagine at that weight, 30 kgs more, trying to run was so tough just to finish a 10K. And then I started building up my speed, and my sister was faster than me. So that was my goal. Okay, let's beat Reshma in a half marathon. So the first half I did, she beat me by a couple of minutes. I tried to keep up with her, but I didn't. And slowly built up to it. And now I'm so excited. I've joined Pacemakers, it's a great running team in Bangalore as well. So my days are full of sports. It's like running, CrossFit. And I've started yoga recently. One of my swim teachers also Pilates expert, so I do a bit of that. So I think the main thing is me wanting to push myself. One is I've now dropped about, say, 23, 24 kgs from that earlier weight. So I'm starting to feel fit like myself again. And the great thing is, my kids are seeing me do it, So they come down with me to the gym and we do handstands together and we do races and they tell me, like, Mama, we thought you're really fast and running. Like, how come we're beating you, So I'm like, okay, come and run a 21K with me, then I'll beat you, So fun stuff, just getting into different sports. And every sport is so different. Like some people say, like, oh, you're an Olympian, surely you can run. It's not that easy, Like I've taught even people like Reet Abraham or Ashwini, they've come to the pool and they're
Nisha,
like, wow.
Nisha, I had a question on that because you said you started getting back to some level of fitness after wanting to do that. But at some level, you were also an Olympian. You were at the top of your sport. And you're utterly competitive. So at some level, was there a bit of an arrogance out there, training with normal people who were probably trying to do simple?
I think it was the opposite. First of all, I have the strongest kind of expectations of myself. So other people are very excited, like, oh, wow, Nisha is an Olympian, she's training with us. For me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so much overweight. So like you said, there's a little bit of that. Athletes are all a little arrogant. We like to win. We like to show off a little bit, I love to, win a race and blow kisses to the crowd. I'm one of those people who celebrates like that, So that's part of our kind of like our, our mental, framework. That's how we've always been brought up, So when you go to the gym and you can't even lift like 40 kgs deadlift or something, then you're like, oh God, I better work on myself every day. So it was not about, I was just amazed at sometimes normal people who are doing sometimes as much or doing amazing things that even Olympians have not seen do, Like the other day at one of the pacemaker challenges that, Fast&Up, you guys were one of the sponsors as well. All of us just, a friendly competition like this, one of these girls held a wall sit for more than an hour. And I told her, I said, wow, I've seen Olympians train and it's all about mental. After a point, it's a mental game, just like a marathon, the last part is all mental. Yes, there's training, all that is there, but at the end of the day, it's mental as well. So I'm every day amazed, whether it's in the CrossFit gym, whether it's running, or even some of these triathletes. I'm training a bunch of excited triathletes. I have 5 athletes going for the World Masters, for the half Ironman. And it's just amazing to see they have jobs, they have kids, they have lives, but they still train. So that impresses me more. So like you said, yes, I always have the thing that I should do better. I'll always push myself till I'm almost like collapsing, I actually collapsed also one half marathon. I actually collapsed and didn't finish the race. But, it's quite inspiring to see normal people push themselves to the same limit that Olympians push themselves, to.
That's a very interesting perspective. A lot of us will be encouraged by hearing that, wanting to impress more Olympians and elite athletes.
Like when
Nisha,
I see you doing, BQs, Boston qualified times, I'm like, wow, when will I ever get close to that, So, like I said, because I know you manage your job, your kids, so that's what kind of pushes me to like do some more. So I think you have to just keep setting more goals for yourself.
So Nisha, we'll talk about a little bit about running, which is also a center of attraction,
Yes.
a lot of commitment from your side. So when you started out on running, you mentioned about the initial 5K, 10K.
Yes.
What were the challenges that you faced? I mean, was there any times, because I know some swimmers cannot do well on land. I mean, you'd be amazed to know that you could probably do a freestyle. I think you were the first. I mean, you went under 1 minute in a 100-meter freestyle, I believe. And
yes,
then when it comes to the land, so it becomes so difficult. So what was your initial reaction, initial impressions on running when you first took it up?
I think I started off running thinking like, I don't need a coach. How hard is running? I'll just, I'm anyway an endurance athlete. Like I said, we would swim maybe 8 kilometers in the morning, 8 in the evening. Our toughest swimming set was 10 into 100. 100 into 100. So 100 hundreds of freestyle, which is 10 kilometers. So I was like, how hard can 10 kilometers running be? Well, it turned out pretty hard because, your muscle memory obviously is not there. And being in land, being in the water, two different things. One is you have that buoyancy in the water. So even if you put on a little bit of weight, you could still maybe get away. But what I realized in running is it's so very important to keep your weight under control. So now that my weight's coming on, I can feel how that's made a difference to my running. I think the biggest thing I struggle with, one is, of course, my technique. That's why I joined pacemakers, so I can improve on my technique, learn run drills, run with different pace groups, learn about pacing a race. I mean, pace, I think I understand better because so many years of swimming, I won't just sprint in the first part of a half marathon. I know how to pace myself. But other small things like, I think a lot of physios that have worked with me have said, I have a body very suited for swimming, where I have, my feet are pronated, which sometimes help in swimming. I have ultra flexible knees and ankles, like hyperflexion almost of my knees and my ankles. So some things, work to a disadvantage. I have a slight curvature of my spine, so it's always slight, more pressure on one leg, less on the other leg. So obviously I have slight knee issues. I'm not careful. So what I've realized, through this last 4-5 years of running is I have to do strength and conditioning regularly. So I don't miss that even if I'm training regularly. I have to go for a regular massage. I think people forget that recovery is important, and that's where something I feel like you were talking about the arrogance of being an athlete. I think that came from me thinking that, in my head, I'm still 18 or 19 and very fit. But, now the reality thinks that I'm, 38 and it takes longer for my body to recover. So, going for massages, worrying about my hydration, worrying about my nutrition, those kind of things I think I've started doing more of now. Otherwise, I would just, run whenever I want, then, go the next day, do a workout. Now I do a lot of stretches, I do a lot of mobility, a lot of, strengthening. So that's what's really changed. That helps to be with, professionals. That's why wherever I go, I seek out the best, whether it's my gym, whether it's a run group, I want to be training with the best, So that's why, it's been very challenging. And it's good to push yourself. At the end of the day, if I do a bad timing, everybody else is like, oh, you finished at 21K. But for me, I don't even consider it like, obviously I have to finish. Like, it's like, I never ever say that I'm going to, not finish a distance. So that's why I've not decided to run a full marathon as yet. Like, I know I can finish it, but I want to do a good timing. It's just not about completing it, it's about doing it well.
Racing and competing is something which is natural to you.
Yeah.
Nisha, you also see a lot of runners, people who are practicing the sport now, etc. So, do you think in general people are getting better? They're more knowledgeable. They are going the right direction, or do you have any message? Because you have seen the other side as well, right? You have played sport right from the age of 5 or 6, and
Yes.
and you have seen the other side. Now you are a runner. You are one amongst a lot of us. Are people doing a lot of things right, or is there any scope for changing a few things from whatever you have seen?
I think people shouldn't be, running marathons without the proper training. That's the first thing, because, you hear of unfortunate things where people actually die or get a heart attack because, it's a great sport because anyone can do it. That's a good part about running. Young kids as small as 6, 7 can take part in smaller runs. And we've seen people up to close to their hundreds, 90s and 100s, reaching 100 and they're running. So it's a great sport, but at the same time, you must know, I think you have to listen to your body. Now, as an athlete, that comes a little more natural to me. If I feel like some pain that's been annoying me for a few more days, I'll go and see a physiotherapist. Or if I feel, okay, in my run today, I was very dehydrated, I'll go and get my Fast&Up and I'll see what else I can do, speak to my other runners, So things like that are very important. So I think people are, this fad of running has caught on so much that you see too many novices try to suddenly do a 21K, So maybe build up slowly is the first thing I would say. Build up your distances very slowly. And I feel you should be part of some kind of run group. Like, pacemakers is quite a competitive group. Very, very motivation, but we're all always competing. It's quite a serious group, 5 a.m. we're there in the morning. But there are the fun run groups, who meet up, a few of numbers will run together. Everyone will go for one dosa, after the breakfast, after a run, So there's a fun element, the social element also people should not forget. That's what ultimately sports is about, and especially running, right? The running community, what I'm enjoying is, on the roads, even now when the lockdown is lifted, the first few days when everybody's on the road, you see a runner, like you don't care, is he pacemaker, is he Janaga Jaguar, you're like, hi, like everybody, is this so-and-so Bangalore, we just, everyone's so excited to see runners. You'll be like, you'll give somebody a thumbs up. So that's what running is about. People need to really take it easy, speak to experts, and I would say join a run group. There's so many run groups, and see what's good for you, where you can build up nicely, not get injured. You don't want to be at a point where you have to have a knee surgery, or you have some major issue because you're older and you've neglected listening to advice. So I think I'm also learning from other runners, like even the top guys in our whether it's a Bobby, or whether it's Atif, or so many of the other athletes who are really good. Who Pani sir, our coach, is in his mid-60s, and he anything he tells us to do, he can do better than us. So that's a great person to take advice from, because he's been through it all. Anytime you say that I'm tired, he'll be like, listen, if I can do it, you can do it, and we know he means it. So if we are there expected to be there at 5 a.m., he's there at 4:45. So find some inspirational people to run with, but always make sure you're taking it easy and going according to your pace. Like if I had suddenly tried to run a full marathon, I could have probably done it, but I wouldn't have been able to walk for the next few days. Logically that's what would have happened. So I've built up over it, and even Pani sir told me, only when you feel you're ready and you've trained enough and you've had 6-8 months or even a year of training, then you attempt it. So maybe next year, 2021 will be the big year I do my first full marathon.
Great. So we have actually run close to the finish of this discussion, Nisha. So I just wanted to conclude with a couple of more questions to you. One is, do you still get requests to taking a selfie while you are on the middle of the run, a selfie with an Olympian? Has it ever happened?
Yes, sometimes in the middle of the run, and a lot of the times at races, and you're so exhausted, and I always smile. But it's great, and especially if it's kids, I'm even more excited. So if a kid comes and tells me, I want to go to the Olympics one day, or I love gymnastics, I don't care what kind of run I'm on, how serious it is. Obviously, I'd stop and do a selfie with them. But yeah, I've had a couple of friends, and we're trying to do selfies while running, and we've fallen. So others we're quite careful like that. But we do have people coming up and saying, "Can I jog alongside you?" So it's all fun. As long as I can motivate someone, I'm happy to do it.
Great. So the last question before we sign off, Nisha, is are you open enough to give out your running goals? Any targets that you have fixed
Definitely.
up for yourself?
Yeah, so my
I'm not going to ask you whether you're going to go to Olympics in running, but you should be having your own target.
No, I don't think I'm one of those natural runners. Like, see, when I see you run, I see some of our top, athletes run, you can see that they're natural. Like, if you see me in the water, I look like I'm in my element. I'm very natural. Running, definitely, I don't have that technique. I'm building up on it still. But my run goals, I'll just quickly, mention it to you. So 10K, I'm aiming to go below 50 minutes. 52 is my best. Yesterday I ran, day before yesterday I ran a 54. So I'm, I think with a bit more training, I can definitely do that. The next thing would be to do a half marathon. A half, my fastest is a 158. So I know I can easily go a 152, 153. So that's my big goal. And, I want to do it on preferably like a flat course. Like I did it in Mumbai last time. It was very difficult with the humidity. So I'm thinking maybe Delhi, and 2021, run a full marathon with a respectable time. Respectable time for me will be anything from 4 hours to 4 hours 15, nothing more than that.
I mean, it's amazing to hear you. Thank you so much, Nisha. And before we wind up, I also would like to tell everyone who is probably listening and also would be listening. So when we started Fast&Up in 2015, we had this small launch party in Mumbai. We had invited a few select amateur athletes to be part of it, runners, triathletes. And we, in fact, thought it would be nice to have somebody who is a super athlete. And Nisha was very gracious enough to come all the way to Mumbai. And that was the start of a great relationship for the brand. And we are extremely happy about it, and extremely happy to have had that association. and still stay in touch for all that support that you have done for the brand, Nisha. Thank you so much.
No, and thanks, because I know, like you said, we've become more than friends, or more than from a brand point of view. We've also become friends. But it's great to see the journey of Fast&Up, because the other day I messaged saying, literally from day one I've been there, seeing how we had to go talk to swimmers, and I started using it because I wanted to try it myself, And now, in fact, today my dad asked me for a tube of Fast&Up. He said, I'm feeling a little dehydrated. Can I have a tube of your Fast&Up? So I took him a tube of Reloads. My husband loves the BCAA. So it's great because now you guys are also into health products. It's not just for the athletes, it's for the everyday person also. So it's great to see a brand grow and, go to all sports. Of course, when it went to the cricketers, of course, I think Fast&Up's popularity skyrocketed. But people like us, we were already fans of the brand, So I think anything that can help an athlete perform on an everyday basis, where I don't have to worry, like, I keep my Fast&Up bottles ready for me. I don't have to worry, will I be dehydrated? How am I going to manage? And we came from the generation of drinking things like Gatorade. It was so sugary and sweet. You'd feel a bit sick afterwards. When you have a Fast&Up, even at the end of the marathon, I mean, that's the reason you guys are, at the marathons, and it's great because, I'm wishing all the very best, and, that you guys grow from strength to strength, and we'll always be more than just the brand. We're almost like family now.
Thank you so much, Nisha. Thanks for the time. And I hope things get back to normalcy, and stay safe, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, we'll see you next, I'm sure, running.